Sangkuriang, the legend of Tangkuban Perahu. The legend of Tangkuban Perahu was casted by a mother, Dayang Sumbi, and her son Sangkuriang. This story took place in Java and was become a popular short story till now. So let's read the story. Once upon a time, there are a god and goddess which were detained for breaking the rules. They both then were sentenced to live the rest of their life in the world while doing good deeds. During their time on earth, the god was turned into a dog named Tumang, and the goddess turned into a swine named Wayunghyang. Tumang was owned by a king named Sumbing Prabangkara and lived in a palace. Both became good friends and stick like a glue. One day, King Sumbing decided to go for hunt to the nearest forest. Apparently, it's the forest where Wayunghyang lives. At the forest, the king needed to do his thing, and apparently his bee was kept in a coconut shell. Little did they know Wayunghyang, who felt thirsty and found the water in a coconut shell, drank it, and she became pregnant. 9 months after the pregnancy, right after Wayunghyang gave birth, the king back to hunt on the same forest. He heard a baby crying, looking for it, and found a lovely baby girl. He took the baby to the palace without knowing that it was his daughter and named her Dayang Sumbi. Long story short, Dayang Sumbi grew up to be a loveliest girl in the country. Lots of princes quarreled and fought over her. Dayang Sumbi, who felt uncomfortable, chose to remain silent and moved to the middle of nowhere where no one knows her. There she lives only with Tumang, her best friend. She spent her life weaving clothes with traditional loom she has. One day the loom was fallen to the ground and she was too lazy to pick it up. She swore to herself, anyone who brought her the loom, if she's a girl, then she will consider her as her sister, and if he was a man, then she would marry him. Suddenly, Tumang appeared and brought her the loom. As her promised, she married Tumang. As his husband, Tumang revealed himself and turned himself to be a lovely god only when the full moon comes. Dayang Sumbi then became pregnant in no time. The king was so angry to hear about this. He casted her out of his family name and told her to live far away from the palace. Long story short, Dayang Sumbi has the prettiest baby boy you could ever see. She named him Sangkuriang. He grew up to be a decent, strong, pretty guy who loves her mother without knowing that the dog who happened to stay with him all along was his father. One day, Dayang Sumbi sent him to go for hunt. She told her son that she wanted a deer heart for dinner. Sangkuriang took Tumang to go with him, yet she couldn't find any deer. After 3 days of hunting, he was too afraid of going home with an empty hand. Suddenly, he saw a pig and asked Tumang to go for it. Tumang remained silent since he knew it was Wayunghyang, her granny. Sangkuriang was so upset and pointed her bow and arrow to Tumang. Accidentally, he got a shot and died. Tumang asked him to get his heart to be given to his mother. This young guy cried with tears, for he couldn't bear the sadness of losing his best friend. He took Tumang's heart as he wished and came home to her mom. Dayang Sumbi was so happy to have her son back. Yet, she was curious why didn't Tumang come along. She asked Sangkuriang where Tumang was, but Sangkuriang kept silence and didn't tell the truth. Dayang Sumbi, who had a good instinct, found out that it was Tuhang's heart. She hit Sangkuriang on his head and then crashed him out. Time flew by. Sangkuriang has grown up to be a good-looking man with well-built body. Meanwhile, Dayang Sumbi, who was a descendant of goddess, was given an eternal beauty and stays forever young. Sangkuriang, who wandered anywhere, one day reached his house, yet he couldn't remember that it was his former residence. Dayang Sumbi didn't recognize him either when they met around the house. They both fell in love and planned to get married soon. On the day of their marriage, Dayang Sumbi fixed Sangkuriang's bang. She found a scar on his head and remembered her old forgotten son. Dayang Sumbi then called out the marriage and explained everything to Sangkuriang. Blinded by his love, Sangkuriang couldn't take the explanation and kept resisting marrying his own mom. He even threatened that he will destroy everything he found. Dayang Sumbi, who knew that Sangkuriang has such god power, felt threatened with it. She then thought of an idea on how to defect the marriage. She gave Sangkuriang a term that she thought he wouldn't be able to fulfill. In order to marry her, she needed to build a huge lake along with the boat just in a night. If he could fulfill it, then she would marry him. Sangkuriang, with his godly superpower, asked the genius and spirits to help his work done in just a few hours before the dawn. Dayang Sumbi, who didn't expect that to happen, was so surprised and thought of an idea. She made a huge fire in the east to decoy Sangkuriang, so he thought the dawn had come. The genius that thought it was the dawn were afraid of the sunlight, ran away and left Sangkuriang alone. Sangkuriang was so mad that he couldn't finish his work. The coconut shell he used to dig the ground was thrown to the east and becomes Mount Manglayang. Sangkuriang kicked away the boat he made, and apparently it was laid down on the back. The boat then turned into a Mount Tangkuban Perahu. Tangkuban Perahu literally means upside down boat. Yes, believe it or not, the mountain looks like an upside down boat.